Commentary Booth is a show for media lovers by media lovers just like you. If you want to support the show, go to pariomagazine.com.au. Welcome to the Commentary Booth, where we watch and, you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play-by-play commentator Jamie Apps, and each week I'm joined by a rotating cast of colour commentators to help you find your next viewing treat. This week I'm joined by an aircon estimator who lists their favourite movie as A Nightmare on Elm Street and favourite TV show as Golden Girls. Welcome to the show, Corrina Mabey.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, trying not to get flooded out. Swimming from
Yeah,
my
same
bedroom to
here.
the office.
I mean, I kind of wish I could do that. Be better than actually leaving my house.
Fair enough.
We just have like up and down, like Florida doesn't know what it wants to do.
Yeah, but at least when it rains there, it's still hot.
No, it's gross. There's hot and then there's Florida hot.
That's also very true.
Mhm.
So, this week we're embracing the idea of the upside down by recording our review of the latest Stranger Things from opposite sides of the world. So we are literally sitting upside down.
I just,
Uh,
I never thought of it that way.
yeah, we're pretty much directly opposite sides of the world, so one of us is upside down.
Yeah, you are, not me.
No, don't think so. So, Stranger Things season 4. What did you think on a top level?
It's my favorite season so far. I was under the impression it was the last one. And then I realized that there is going to be a season 5.
Hmm.
So I'm excited about that. But yeah,
Yeah,
this
they
is by
def.
far my favorite. It's also, I think, the darkest.
Oh, for sure. Like, definitely the most horror leaning of the 4 seasons so far.
Yes, I was all about it at first. It embraced like the 80s horror movies for me, like the Poltergeist and stuff, and then this just made it even better and got bigger.
Yeah, I feel like over the course of the 4 seasons, like, we started really strong in that horror side, and then in the middle 2 seasons, it kind of moved more sci-fi, if that's a word. And then this
Yeah,
season came back to the horror.
horror roots kind of, yeah. No,
So,
I agree with that. I think it started a little, it wasn't as, it was more tame before. Like everybody was like, "Oh yeah, my kids like Stranger Things," and now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't know if an 8-year-old would be okay with some of this stuff now. Like, I don't know.
yeah, this most recent season would definitely scare some kids, I think. Like, just the Vecna character, just to look at, is a pretty terrifying
And
idea.
yeah, he's an intense character.
So this season is based in it's still in the 80s, yeah?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, but there is
Yeah,
a
I think
time
you're
jump,
right,
but
yeah.
it's okay. Yeah, it's 8 months after the third season, so it's still the 80s, but there is that little time jump. But we're still dealing
Yeah.
with the upside down and strange deaths happening in Hawkins. What did you think of the idea of splitting the season into 2 volumes? I know they've said it wasn't the intention to begin with, but once sort of, I imagine, the COVID situation hit and things started getting delayed with production, it probably made sense to try and get this out now rather than wait until it was completely done.
Um, I didn't mind it so much. I was really excited regardless. I was just happy that it was finally happening. It had been like it went 2 years, I think, since the third season.
Yeah,
And
35
so
months.
to get new uh so yeah, to get new episodes, well, I was just happy in general. And then when I saw how long they were, and that they progressively got longer, I was like, all right, I'm cool with just just the first part. And then when I heard about the second part getting released and how long those episodes were going to be, it was kind of like a mini movie, and I was okay with it.
Yeah, I think with the length of volume 2 being like 2 episodes in basically 4 hours, I think it worked to be split because at the end of binge watching 7 episodes and then having 2 more that are 4 hours, that would have been a tough slog for some people. But I wonder if
Yeah.
the episodes would have been that long had they gone with the original plan of releasing all 9 at once.
That I'd be interested to figure that out or find out about that. I honestly I like longer episodes and shows like this because it gives me more and more and makes me want to binge it even more so. And I'm kind of grateful that they just release them all at once versus weekly because I'd be probably like tearing at the seams to get more.
I think it gave them, having the long episodes, it definitely gave them more chance to explore these stories in more detail. Like, if they had limited themselves to 45 to an hour long episodes, there'd have been a lot of stuff cut out of these. Although I did see some people were saying the whole Hopper storyline could have just been cut entirely.
I'm a fan of Hopper. I'm a team Hopper Joyce person. I always have been. So, and I feel like Hopper's connection with Eleven is such a strong father-daughter connection that you can't not have a good storyline with him. He's just such a strong character and he holds it together. He's kind of like the glue, even though he's not directly with them sometimes.
I guess the payoff with him, big spoilers, finally getting back to see 11, that kind of made it worth it to keep him in the series. But like, if they had stuck with him dying in season 3, I think I would have been okay with that as well. Like, the the rest of his story kind of was just a bit wishy-washy. He's doing stuff, but it's not necessarily directly helping the kids. Like,
I mean,
not in
I
a
get
way that
that. I
was
feel like
super
it was,
obvious.
yeah, it was kind of a stretch and they could have cut it if they needed to, but I'm really happy that they were able to keep him there because I really appreciate the bond that Hopper had with Eleven and just, seeing them getting reunited was just such an emotional moment on top of everything else happening.
And I guess we also got the Joyce Hopper moment as well that was pretty special.
Yes, which I found out, or well, rumor has it that that was not in the original script. That was just improv from them. So
They
kudos to
decided on the
them.
day that they were going to add a kiss.
Yeah, which I'm all for that. Let's do it.
There was actually, in these final 2 episodes of the season, there was actually 3 scenes that were improvised.
I only know about two. I only knew about the Hopper one, and then when the Max and Lucas thing is happening,
Mm-hmm.
and those are the only two I knew. Wait, there's a third one.
Yeah, so the kiss between Joyce and Hopper was added by Winona and David on the day of filming. They decided that it made better sense to have that in the story. Like you mentioned, Lucas crying out to his sister Erica help as Max is facing off with Vecna was improvised by the actor for Eddie, which is pretty amazing given that he's quite young still. So,
A lot of emotion.
And then the third one was Eddie saying to Dustin before the final battle, "I love you, man." That wasn't in the script either.
Oh, that makes it so much better now. Like, I love the new Eddie and Dustin duo, so that's like an even more heartfelt kind of moment now for me. I love it.
That was such a heartbreaking loss too, because yeah, he was such a cool addition to the group.
He fits so well with them, and I wanted Eddie to be more like involved because I think it's amazing. And then I saw it was pointed out Eddie didn't even get to meet 11 before
Oh
he
yeah,
died. Yeah,
but he was
it's
still
kind of
like
sad that
so
he was
in
helping
on
someone.
helping everyone.
Yeah, and he just never got to meet like the main you know, everything.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't even realize that, but like you said, like he fits so well. Like there was in the first couple of episodes where he was sort of shown, I was like, has this guy been in here the whole time? Because like he felt like he should have been there the whole time. Like he didn't feel like, oh, we're just randomly adding this new character because it's a new season.
Yeah, no, he was awesome. And I just, the whole like Dungeons and Dragons club that he had and everything going on with them was just so great.
Yeah, the Hellfire Club was very cool. I can I
Yeah,
suspect we're going
and
to see a lot of Hellfire Club shirts floating around in the next 6 to 8 months.
yeah, they're already making their way around. I saw like on Etsy people are making like cups and everything now for it, and I'm just like, yeah, that's awesome.
In terms of the cast, we had all the regulars return: Winona Ryder, David Harbour, Millie Bobby Brown. What did you think of everyone? Did they all live up to it? I know, given that they are all quite significantly older now than when the show began. Did you enjoy sort of
Yeah,
the
it was a bit of
time
a
jump?
shocker. It was a shocker, because in my head there's still like those tiny little kids from season one, and she still has like her shaved head and looks like she's 10 and terrified. But then when you look at her on screen now, she just owns her scenes. Like she's grown up so much. All the kids really have, and they've all just become so much more involved in their characters and more dedicated, I think.
Yeah, I think like they've all become much stronger actors too. Like they have grown, not just physically but skill wise as well, which is cool to see. And like we're seeing Millie Bobby Brown is now popping up in a bunch of other movies and things, so I'm sure we'll see
Yeah,
more popping up
she's
in
producing
places
and
as well.
stuff, I guess. Yeah, she's doing all that. She's got Enola Holmes happening, and I'm excited about that. The first one was great, so I think I'm excited to see more come from her.
hmm I'm keen to see more of Gatton Matazzo, Dustin Henderson. I want to see him in more stuff now that they've fixed his teeth. That was so weird in the first few seasons where
Yeah,
he had no front teeth.
I think it gave his character more like depth though. Like I feel like he was just such a great character regardless, but he owned that, and that was Dustin for me was just like this like missing tooth dorky kid that everybody just gathered and loved so much.
I guess, yeah, it added a different thing to his character. He wasn't just like the fat nerdy kid that was with the other kids. Like he was a unique
Hmm.
character in that way.
Yeah.
Um,
I love Dustin's probably one of my favorite kids. Like he's out of the group of the kids, Dustin's probably my favorite just because of he is nerdy like that. But he thinks that he can help out any way he can, and he always tries to.
Especially like this season, I felt like he had a much bigger role as well. Like he did sort of take leadership a little bit more, whereas before he was kind of just following 11. Like he was always kind of the leader, but yeah, this season he really took that to a new level.
Absolutely, yeah. I appreciated his whole battle sequence attire, um, and I thought it was great. Just everything about him. Him and Eddie were a great duo. I mean, Steve and Dustin are always going to be the best, but Eddie was a good new one.
hmm What did you think of Will and Mike, their interplay this season?
Um, I I liked it a lot. I feel bad for Will. I've kind of felt bad for Will because ever since he came back from the Upside Down, I feel like he's kind of been almost ostracized and never really feels like he fits in anymore with them, even though he's always been there. So I think this was like a good season for him to kind of come out of that shell a little bit and maybe try and be a little bit more, the way he was before.
hmm And like he like essentially came out as well, which was a big thing.
Yeah, it was a big thing, and you know, I know it's been like a big controversy, and I just think, I don't know why it's such a big controversy. I mean, it happens. Kids are going to come out regardless. I mean, it's just a matter of when they feel comfortable, so why not embrace that?
Watching that, I felt like it was probably the most like real coming out story that you would see. Like it wasn't him just being like, "Oh yeah, this is what I am." Like he was trying to tell Mike without like blatantly
Telling
telling Mike,
him.
and it was like just a
Yeah.
heartbreaking scene watching him turn and look out the window and just be like, "That's it. That's all I can do."
And then like to see Jonathan's reaction where he's just like looking at his brother in the rear view mirror, just like kind of letting it all out, and he can't really do anything because he's driving. So it kind of you feel like his emotion to kind of connect with his brother at that time, and he just can't.
Yeah, like he was definitely picking up what he was trying to say and was just like, oh, yeah, geez, that's rough. But then when they did finally stop the car, like I feel like that moment brought them back together as well, which was nice.
Yeah, no, I think it just made them have a better bond or a bigger bond maybe. And they were so close before and then they just kind of drifted apart. So it's a good way to bring them all back together kind of. This season I feel really was able to bring everything back together to the beginning almost.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a let's bring everyone back together for season 5 of like an epic fight to finally finish this battle off.
Yeah, I would have been happy if this had been the last season, if they had just ended it differently. I think it would have been a great wrap up, but I'm not mad about a new season coming.
Yeah, you might be waiting quite a while though if the history is any indication.
It's fine. I'll survive. I'll just find a bunch of other stuff to catch up on in the meantime.
That's also a good point. Like I did read that the Duffer brothers have said that they hope to begin shooting season 5 soon, so that's rough. I think they said their initial plan was to shoot seasons 4 and 5 back to back, but then when COVID hit, that obviously ruined that idea. So based on the past season gaps, we went between seasons 1 and 5, we went 15 and a half months. 1 and 2, not 1 and 5. Between 2 and 3, we went 20 months. And then between season 3 and 4, we waited 35 months. So,
Awesome. So 48 months is probably going to be the next kicker.
or even if they go back to 20, like we're looking at
It's a lot.
late next year.
Breaks my heart, but it's okay.
Or if they can time it out to come out like Halloween next year, like Halloween time, that would be perfect. But if they haven't even begun
Didn't
shooting yet,
haven't they
that's tough.
haven't they always released it around the 4th of July or like Memorial Day? Like I feel like that's always been like an ongoing theme with them is
Hmm.
some I feel like it's been a holiday or something like that, like a holiday weekend.
I guess, yeah, with the
But
show this big, like dropping it on a holiday weekend is a good idea. People have that extra day to power through the season.
yeah. I mean, I did it. I watched the first part in a day and a half, which is great because I have no life, and I was like, it's a Saturday. Let me get all of it in.
Ridiculous. But it's all right because I beat you to the finish.
Yeah, no, I wasn't happy about that. I was all about bragging that I had finished the entire first season before you even got home from your trip,
Hmm.
and you're like, yeah, I finished the second part of that before you could even get the first part done, first episode.
Yep. Another big character this season was Max. What did you think of Max and Eric?
Um,
Or
I love
Lucas,
Matt.
not Eric.
Yeah, it's okay. Max is awesome. I like the connection that her and Lucas have. I feel like, they've kind of just been a little bit on and off, but they still really, really care for each other, and that really comes out this season. Um, I also I really enjoyed I loved Max's brother Billy, and his death in the last season was so powerful, and I don't think people expected it to affect her as well as it did. So you
Yeah,
really
because
get to see that side
they
of her
didn't
that
really
she,
have like a strong connection. Those two.
yeah, they seemed like they hated each other, but really deep down, like she cared for him a lot, and it really came through this season how much it affected her, and I think that's crazy to know that she was really feeling all those things when you didn't even know it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how they incorporate her into season 5, given the way that things were left off in this season with her.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I think it'd be really interesting to see if maybe like 11 was able to transfer anything over to her, and maybe like she's able to be the one to really defeat Vecna or something like that. Like she has the way of doing that now since she survived, kind of.
Yeah, that was my thinking as well. Like, she's probably going to end up playing a major role, given that she's fought him once, died, but didn't die.
Yeah, it was. I was in shock when she actually made it. I was not expecting that because it was such a violent thing that happened to her, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
And when they were like, before part two dropped, they were talking about be prepared to be devastated. We're going to lose major characters in this show.
Hmm.
And then when she went, I was like, oh, well, I guess that's one of the major ones gone. I was expecting more people to die though.
Yeah, I was too, and I'm kind of happy that nobody else died. Like I was really mad that Eddie died, but I was really happy that none of the other main plot characters were gone because I would have probably, rioted or something against Netflix.
I was stoked that that stupid jerk guy like died in the earthquake. It just got violently
Oh, that
torn in
guy.
half.
Let me tell you, I was so happy. I've never been happier for a character to die in a series than that guy right there. Because as crappy as Vecna is, that guy was a real piece of work.
I'm glad it wasn't just like a quick death either. Like it was relatively quick, but that's a painful way to go, getting torn in half.
Yep, he deserved every minute of it. It was great. I was in my room and I was like, "Yeah, he's gone. Take that." And it was great.
And then Nancy, she has a big role in this season as well, just running around with her guns all the time.
Yeah, Nancy is a badass. She definitely gave me like I think I told you she gave me like Ellen Ripley vibes in Aliens when she just like takes charge and is just like, all right, let's get it. Let's be done with this. I'm gonna kick some ass.
She did love her guns in this season though. She was because of that. Where's my gun?
Yeah,
Saw off a shotgun.
yeah, she was like Annie Oakley, like give me some ammo. Her and Robin were just both like awesome, badass character like leads.
I did like that. Robin was like, is this illegal what we're doing? And Nancy was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's felony.
Yeah, no, that's great. Robin was such a great additive to the cast in general, and her character has just progressively gotten better throughout the seasons. So the fact that her and Nancy are kind of like friends is great.
Yeah, I feel like Robin was kind of added as like comic relief there for a little while, but she did grow into being an important part of the cast.
Yeah, her her whole character is wonderful because you can't really tell with her if she really is into Steve, if she's not, if they're just really good friends, and what her next move's going to be in anything.
What did you think of Nancy and Steve, all sort of a weird love triangle thing that she had going on?
I it's weird. I used to not like Nancy as a character. She used to irritate me, so and because I like Steve so much, I hated them together. But I feel like it's a really good representation that they both still really care for each other. Um, and that's really shown through like they would do anything for each other, just make sure each other's okay and stuff like that, even though Steve knows that her and Jonathan are a thing.
Yep. Yeah, like she did come off in the first couple of seasons as like an entitled, like popular girl kind of thing, but then she did grow into
Yeah,
being someone that you was likable, not off-putting.
yeah, she's still not my favorite, but I'm not, I'm happy that she's part of the cast. I'm happy nothing's happened to her because she's kind of like the mom in the group. She keeps everyone kind of in check.
And they make a joke about that when they're in the RV. It's talking about wanting 6 kids, and she's like, "Yeah, 6 kids." Like, I never
Yeah,
knew
I
how we'd
know.
do that. And then there's a bunch of kids in the background that they're kind of looking after.
Yeah, and Steve's like the best babysitter slash dad you never knew that you needed in your life.
Hmm. We mentioned Eddie. What did you think of sort of Eddie's major scene in the the lead up to the final battle with his epic guitar solo?
I loved it. I think it was great that they let such a new character have such a big part in that scene, and have such a big moment where it was an important scene. Like without him, they never would have gotten to where they are. And I just think he went out in such an epic way. Like that was like his moment, and it was a very Eddie moment.
Yeah, and like the music was such a good choice for that scene as well. You don't like
No,
that song
yeah,
though.
I will tolerate Metallica in a show, but I will not willingly listen to any Metallica song.
Yeah, but I felt like that song fit perfectly well. Like it was a great choice.
I mean,
Master of Puppets.
you could have you could have easily done like Rock You Like a Hurricane or something like that, and that would have been great because it was like a spinny tunnel of bats.
Yeah, Bat Out of Hell.
Yeah, see, I mean, there was a lot of other choices, but they were like, nah, Metallica is.
Yep. I don't know. It fit perfectly with him.
It did though, yeah. It went with his style. He was very rock and roll, very like, all right, I'm gonna take this and y'all are gonna see what I can do. And it was great.
It definitely felt like, yes, this is a song that he would know. Like it wasn't just a here's like a big popular song. We're gonna insert it. It was like it fit with his character. Like, yeah, he would know how to play this on the guitar. Like it makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah. Anything like that, he was definitely one of those like metal like slash hairband kind of guys, I think.
Yep.
And he would have definitely been into that 100%.
And we mentioned Vecna, like the big bad guy of the whole series, as it turns out now. What did you think of his evolution throughout this season? Like,
I loved it. I liked being able to see the transition from how he started versus like how he became such a evil kind of presence. I really enjoyed his backstory. It was just such an emotionally tied backstory, and it fit so well with everything going on with Eleven. Like it really made her realize like what her destiny was, kind of, I think.
did you see the like twist coming of revealing who Vecna was? I did not see that coming.
I did not know. I was really excited when that happened, but it was definitely not an expected thing. I was blown away and I was really happy with that kind of a twist on everything. It was great.
I was glad that they went with practical effects for that character as well, rather than
Yeah,
just doing a total CGI ghoul.
I'm all for like prosthetics and special effects makeup. I think it's an amazing feel on film. I think it looks so much more in depth. Like you can get so much more out of it because the person can really act out their sequences versus CGI, where it's great for convenience purposes, but I don't think you get the same kind of feel from it.
Yeah, and I saw that like it was 90% practical effects for that character, because the Duffers found, like you said, it gave the actor Jamie Campbell Bower a better presence on the set, so that all the other actors could play off that a bit more. It was an 18 piece suit that he had to be put in every time that they filmed those sequences, and they used the makeup artist that had previously worked on Game of Thrones and Chernobyl to create the suit. So very well done.
Yeah, I can't imagine how heavy all of that had to be, but he did such a good job with it. And I feel like if I had been on set, like, and saw him walking around, I would have been terrified. Like, oh God, that's what I have to go face with now? What?
Not just like the weight of like wearing that and like the heat. I imagine it was pretty sweaty in that suit. And then
Uh,
like I don't know how long, but I imagine there was hours of sitting in a makeup chair getting that put on every single time that they had to film.
uh, yeah, no, I can't even sit still for an hour of putting on my own makeup, so I can't imagine getting latex put on me every day for X amount of hours.
It was like when Dave Batista was doing what's his name in Guardians?
Drax.
Yeah, and he was doing 4, 5, 6 hours a day just sitting in a makeup suit getting painted.
Yeah, with all the random tattoos and stuff that they put on him that were like all divots and stuff. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's commitment, big commitment to the character.
No, yeah, and it just shows that they really enjoy what they do and they're really about putting all their heart and soul into it when you're willing to sit there and go through that versus saying, no, put me in a green suit and just put me in front of a screen.
Yeah, or even just put the dots on my face and you can CGI it in later. Like I'm
Yeah.
not wearing that. So well done to them. Um,
Hmm.
we mentioned the soundtrack, epic soundtrack in this one. We had Kate Bush's "Running Up That Hill," which has kind of become the song of the season. Dead or Alive's "You Spin Me
Yeah.
Round," Musical Youth's "Past the Duchy," Falco's "Rock Me Amadeus," Journey's "Separate Ways," the Beach Boys' "California Dreaming" was in a very early episode. Talking Heads' "Psycho Killer," Kiss's "Detroit Rock City," Wipeout by the Safaris, Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald's "Dream a Little Dream of Me," Metallica's "Master of Puppets," your favorite,
Mm.
Moby's "When It's Cold I'd Like to Die," and then one for the AEW fans, Tarzan by Baltimore.
Yeah, it's crazy that I like my daughter's 13 and when she was listening to some of the episodes, she thinks that all of this is new music, so it's really funny to see the younger generation just be like, "Oh, these are new songs." I'm like, "Absolutely not. These are
No,
ancient
yeah,
songs.
these are
These are
70s,
getting pulled
80s
out of the vault."
songs.
Yeah,
I
it's fun though because I feel like those people are now getting recognition again and their music is just it's history really.
Yep. I did Google when Tarzan Boy played. I was like, hey, that's Jungle Boy's theme song. But
Probably the best theme song ever.
mhm. But then, like you mentioned, like some of these musicians are now getting some recognition years after they released a song. Kate Bush with her song "Running Up That Hill" since season 4 released has earned $3.3 million just from streaming.
Oh my gosh. I feel like when I'm in the car, I hear that song at least once an hour on the radio, like nonstop. It's just constant. And I'm just like, wow, this is what? This is a classic song, and it's just all kinds of crazy now.
Yeah, I bet she's glad that she signed this over, considering as prior to this, she has been quite reticent on licensing out her music for shows. But
Mm.
um, they contacted her, spoke to her about how they wanted to use the song, sent her the script so she could read the pages where the song was going to be used, and she agreed to license the song. And she just made $3.3 million on top of whatever they paid her to license the song. So good choice,
It's a
very
nice
good
paycheck.
choice.
Yeah, hardcore paycheck right there. I'd take that any day.
And like I can't see it stopping anytime soon because now you're seeing a bunch of DJs and music producers are all like, "Hey, this is a popular song, let's remix it," and she's just gonna continue getting more and more royalties for quite a long time. I see.
Oh yeah, and it's gonna end up in more playlists probably on like Spotify and stuff like that, where they just incorporate it into like all these different random playlists now.
Speaking of playlists, what did you think of the Spotify integration with Stranger Things to create the Upside Down playlist?
I really enjoyed that. It was fun. I didn't realize that was a thing until you told me about it. And when I went to go check it out, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm glad that they ended up doing that because it's a fun little thing to play with.
Yeah, it's like a cool bit of coding that they've written where it incorporates a few of the songs from the actual soundtrack, but then it pulls like your most played songs and songs that are
Yeah.
similar to your most played songs and puts them all into one playlist. So everybody gets a custom upside down playlist and you just hit a song and it's either one from the show or one that you absolutely love. And it's like kind of their way of saying, hey, if you were trapped, what song would pull you out of the upside down?
Yeah, I really love that. And then you get to see like the diversity in your playlist too, because it's not just like one type of genre or anything like that. It could be all over the place and it's wonderful.
Oh yeah, mine went in some very weird directions. It was like, here's Alexis on
Yeah.
Fire, followed by Eminem, Kendrick, some random musical soundtrack. Like, this is very
Oh,
weird.
I went from like falling in reverse to Taylor Swift, to Nicki Minaj and then to like some 80s stuff. And I'm like, well, this is great. This is me in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's a straight chaos playlist, but because it's all songs you love, like there's hardly any like songs like yeah skip.
Yeah, I was happy with it. I listen to that playlist now. Like it's gonna be my playlist when I go to work tomorrow, like nonstop, just to zone out.
And we mentioned this show being like a massive deal for Netflix. Did you deal with the Netflix crash that occurred when the show dropped?
So I was working when the show came out, so I didn't have that problem. My mom was at home trying to watch it and kept telling me that Netflix was broken, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when I found out about the crash. So we didn't watch it until I got home.
Yeah, like that's pretty crazy that so many people were trying to watch it immediately that their whole site just went nope, not working. Like it
Yeah,
wasn't
I
just
don't think
people
they
trying
were
to play
prepared for it.
Stranger Things and Stranger Things wouldn't play. Like the entire Netflix site went down for a little while.
Everything went down. Yeah, my mom was just like, I gave up on Netflix. I went over to Amazon and called it a day. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I was glad I decided I'm gonna cook dinner, eat dinner, watch some news, and then put the show on. And by the time I'd done that, Netflix was back and working.
Must be nice. Mm.
That's the advantage of things releasing at 5 p.m. instead of midnight.
And that's why you're in the upside down and I'm on the right side up.
Mm,
Mm.
okay, maybe. Um, but I did see that Netflix has reported on at the end of May that Stranger Things season 4 had been viewed for more than 287 million hours.
Okay.
It's
It's a big number.
their it is their most watched show of all time. It surpassed their previous first week viewership record, which was season 2 of Bridgerton, which had 193 million hours watched in a week.
I'm kind of mad that Bridgerton beat out The Witcher, low key. Like,
I'm not
that's insane
surprised
because I
though.
feel like that's a
Brid-
tale for another day.
Bridgerton has a much wider appeal. I feel like The Witcher is
Mm,
us nerds.
whatever.
But yeah,
Maybe
now
it's
Stranger
tomorrow.
Things has that list, and like it didn't just pip it out. Like it beat it by nearly 100 million hours.
That's insane. Like I can't even fathom that. Wow.
To be fair, it probably helps that every episode was over an hour each, and then the last one was 2.5 hours.
That's still nowhere near the amount of hours like that. You can't justify that. It's just a lot of people streaming a lot of stuff.
I'm trying to work out how many people that would have required because they're across the season. There's probably what 11 hours roughly.
Mm. Yeah, 11, maybe 12, just for
Okay, so
good measure.
let's say 12. Oh god, how many zeros are in 287 million?
A
287
lot.
287 million divided by what do we say 12.
12? Yeah, 12.
That's a big number still. That's 23,916,667.
So it's a lot.
That's
I
a
mean,
lot. It requires that many people to have just watched the season once.
yeah.
So essentially 24
Okay.
million people watched the season just once. I'm sure there are people that have
That's
watched
a
it
lot.
multiple
Yeah.
times to bump it up. That's still a lot. That's like the Australian population.
That's that's an insane amount of people, like when you put it into that kind of a number perspective. It's bonkers.
The Australian population is currently 26 million. So basically all of Australia watched the
Oh,
season once.
wow.
It's
Well,
ridiculous.
yeah, that is absolutely bonkers. Oh my God.
And then the crazy part is it wasn't just season 4 that was high up on the Netflix list as well. In the weeks prior to season 4 dropping and during that week, all the other seasons popped into the top 10 as well.
Yeah, that would make sense. I almost went back and rewatched the entire series, but I realized I was running out of time. And
Mhm.
so I just kind of stuck with the recap that they gave you beforehand.
Yeah, I feel like Netflix does a good job with those because they don't just stick to like, here's a 30-second to a minute recap. Like some of them are 2 minutes, some of them are longer. Like they give you
Hmm.
everything you need to make sure that you know what's coming.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that they do that because some of those recaps that they give you on other shows, it's just no thanks.
Yeah, like they give you the big points, but then there's other moments where you're like, I don't understand what's happening here, so I need a bit more context, please.
Yeah. Or they'll just, it's just show things that have nothing to do with the up and coming season, and they'll show you things from the very first season, and here you are at
Mm.
season 4 or 5, and it's like, wait a second.
Yeah, things that were highlights at the time, but don't actually play into key moments that are upcoming.
Hmm.
In terms of season 5, what are you predicting for the season? Who lives, who dies?
Um, I think I really think that Will is going to end up dying. I think he's going to sacrifice himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my predictions. I really feel like he's going to do that. Um, I feel like 11 is going to be one of those characters you're not sure if she's going to make it. She might give herself up to save Mike because she loves him so much. Um, so that might be a good spin on that. And then I think maybe, and I hate to say it, but I think that Steve might not make it either. I think he might like save the kids if he comes down to it.
Yeah, I think Steve and 11 are at least gone. Like,
Yeah, unfortunately.
I
Yeah.
feel like 11 is kind of, yeah, in her, as her powers like expand, and in order to take out Vecna, she has to like go beyond what she's capable of and takes herself out at the same time type thing.
Yeah, and I think that's where Max is going to play like a big part. Like they might have to go in together, and then like only one of them makes it out kind of moments or something like that.
Yeah. Do you think we get a big time jump? Like, do we jump out of the 80s into sort of the 90s?
I don't know. Like maybe like maybe the end of Vecna is the start of like some major like key point in history in the 90s. I can't think of anything off the top of my head because I'm not a good buff at that, but maybe like that leads to like some kind of catastrophic event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, like we kind of have to, given if we're looking at a year and a half, these kids are gonna, they're at that point where they're changing appearance quite quickly. So
Hmm.
we kind of do need to make a time jump so that it doesn't look awkward and strange. But
Yeah,
the series is
I
so
don't know how it's
tied
gonna
to
happen.
the series is so tied to the 80s though. Like jumping to the
Hmm.
90s would feel awkward because it is such a big change in the styles.
Yeah, and it, it's not like a quick transition or like an easy transition either, because nothing really from the 80s carried over into the 90s for the most part. Like it was a very blunt stop.
Yeah, like it would be an expensive decision to change the whole setting from the 80s to the 90s because they would have to redo the entirety of like the sets and houses because they'd be all different inside.
Hmm.
Unless people are
Yeah,
still
like
living
the
in old houses that still look like they're from the 80s in the early 90s, I guess that could work. But all the costuming
yeah,
has to
but
completely change. Everything. Cars,
yeah,
music. They'd
it's a
have to get all
lot.
new music. I
Yeah,
would
and I
like to
feel
see
like they've
some
done
random
such a
90s
good
music
job with
pop
that.
up though.
Yeah, like some 90s grunge stuff come over somehow.
Yes, please.
Let's do that. We should be on their idea team. Bring
Mhm.
us in.
I think that's pretty much everything I have for Stranger Things. Did you find anything else in your research?
Um, Not that I can think of. I am really excited though that Robert Englund made an appearance in this, just because he's like my ultimate horror guy. So
Hmm.
I think he was a great addition, like a great like little sneak in to
Yeah,
that.
nice little like Easter egg for people that realize what it is.
Yeah, and it was just such a great way that they put him in there, and he just has such a great his whole like demeanor and everything is just so horror vibe all the time.
Hmm. Yeah, so like we said, I think this is the best season, or my favorite season so far. People would say it's the best, but I thought it was one of the better seasons so far. So definitely recommend checking it out if
Yeah.
people haven't watched it yet. I'm sure, like we said, 24 million people already have. So
Yeah, pretty sure everybody's at least watched a little bit of it or they know about it. They have to at this point.
I saw so many people when part two dropped, all of their Instagram stories were like, "This is where I'll be for the next 4 hours." Okay.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I was on that train. Like, don't disturb me. Like, catch me afterwards.
Is there anything else that you've been checking out recently?
Um, Not really. I'm a sucker for just like going back to like old stuff that I've never watched that I probably should have watched ages ago. So I'm trying to jump on different boards with all of that. And I'm
Like Top
checking
Gun.
out a couple documentaries.
Top Gun was definitely the best one to go back to.
What one?
Top Gun.
No,
Yeah, Top Gun's great.
no. I'm gonna start Better Call Saul. That's what I gotta start back on because I like Breaking Bad, so I've got to start Better Call Saul. I need something that's a little bit more chipper.
And you're choosing Better Call Saul.
I mean, I like he's got some humorous parts to him.
Mm, mm, it's not a
He's
chipper.
like,
It's not a chipper series.
oh, well, it's fine. His character's funny to me, so I mean, I was optimistic, but thanks for putting a damper in that one.
Yeah, he's definitely more optimistic in Breaking Bad than he is in Better Call Saul.
Oh, well, crap. I'll just go back to Frank and Gracie there. Frankie and Grace then.
Yeah, or you could just watch The Boys. That's always cheaper.
Nope. I have to catch up on that, but it's not my favorite show, and not gonna disclose why. It's just not a thing for me.
Fair enough. Alrighty.
Hmm.
Thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow Corrina on Instagram at Miss Corrina Renee. And you can follow me on social media at JamYap Media and at Pario Magazine. The Commentary Booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Apps Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/JamieAppsMedia. The following people supported at the community support group level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support. Brian and June Hart, Blake Robinson, Rena Renee, Courtney Paulson, Darren Hatcliffe, Jackson Carr, and Tracy Apps.